Hello and welcome everyone. This is me, John Person. Today's class session is due to a few people that had asked and had a bunch of questions from our subscribers to the TradeNavigator Genesis platform, and I thought it would be nice in this environment to go through a few quick tutorials on some of the benefits that it has been offering and how we use it. Many of you have been past Trading Trigger University students. Some of you took the summer mentoring class. Some of you have taken the Genesis indicators and have had TradeNavigator. And so I guess the question begs, what does it do? Why does it do things better? Well, quite frankly, we'll get into that right now. And wanted to welcome everyone. I hope everyone had a great last couple of weeks. Nice ride in the market, and many of you are been at pretty much, I think, almost every presentation I've done, and many of you know we were preparing ourselves for this eventual decline in the market. Our target of 185 in the spiders has been reached. Most of you know we're flat on the spider puts and holding a small position left on the Q puts. And today we've been more, as even yesterday actually, getting along the Russell via the IWM, the January 110 calls. I tweeted that out, which was actually kind of a really nice little trade. Good trading environment. I don't care who you are, what you do. It's just if you are looking at the right indicators and have, good skills, I think in an executable platform that allows you to get in and out, I think this environment has had something for everyone, except for gold. That's a different story. But in any event, we also have had really good success with some other trades that popped up on our scan, and this isn't a toot your horn session. This is just a logic session, I guess, and what we can expect to get out of the indicators and how it's delivered to us via the analytical platform using Genesis and TradeNavigator. So what it can do for us and what we do with it, and everything you see here in all the pages, we'll start with that straight off. The ability to implement the scans that we've created. What does it do? It allows us to do things a little bit better than any other platform, truthfully. It is my favorite platform that I use for my analytical, and don't sit there and confuse analytics to execution. It's two different worlds. It is my favorite. It's the one we use in our trading room each and every day. TradeNavigator, it's more reliable than as far as data is concerned. It's more reliable as far as downloading past data. No platform's 100% perfect, but I am here to tell you it is the most reliable platform as far as an analytical tool that I've ever come across, and I mean any of them. With that said, everyone has their own faults, but as an analytical platform, why does it do it better? Because it allows me to create my own scans. It allows me to look at different sectors. It has a lot of incredible tools in there as far as it has more things than most people even know about. I don't even think Genesis know what they have in there. The filters, indicators, the ability as being the number one, first and foremost product, I think, through the last few decades of using seasonal analysis and seasonal trends, as far as looking at cycles and an ability of understanding a cycle tool feature that is pretty, in part of my analysis, very important in my work. In addition to that, it also has the ability to look at tools such as the Commitment of Traders Report, another contrarian indicator that is number one, tops of my books. As far as my JP or John Person indicators and the pages and the templates that we created, it just has a lot there to offer. Many of you that have the lifetime know that we created anything here that says JP on it. So first and foremost, if you do not have the lifetime, I may suggest that you get it, because what we can do is create and have created, and all you have to do, and this is just fabulous. I'm going to start off here, number one. If you come up here and it says load share pages, so anytime that I've created a page, so for example, we'll go over to multiple time. I'm just going to click on that, and I'll come back to RS in just a minute, relative strength and spread charts in just a minute, and explain all that. So as soon as this loads up, let's talk about what this can all do for you. All right, so if I load a chart and I want to start looking at different, as you can see here, we've talked about various stocks. We talk about it, obviously, this one here, Baxter's. I can expand on this. We talked apparently a long time ago about trend, and then this green would be consolidation. So if it's in consolidated mode, I'm going to delete this now, and I'm going to minimize this just for practical speaking. We have certain stocks up here. We have obviously crude oil. We have McDonald's. Starbucks is up here. This is Time Warner. We have AT&T, Netflix, of course. So we have ISRIG, Baxter, AZO, and of course AIG. So I'm going to change this to HZO. I'm going to change this stock here. We're going to change this to Stage Stores. I'm going to change this to Alpha Natural Resources. I'm going to change this to BTU, Peabody Energy. Now it is live, it's not canned, so eventually I must have hit something because I don't use those indicators there. So I must have hit B and it added something automatically. So remove, 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 and hit OK, and let me hit symbol, and then SSI, enter. There we go. All right. And as you can see, this is a monthly chart. I'm going to change this to a daily chart. I'm going to change this now over to Alpha Natural Resources. And I'm going to change this Netflix. Now I'll leave Netflix. I'm going to change this to Peabody Energy, BTU. I'm just picking out, and then I'm going up here to charts. I'm going to arrange chart windows, and I'm going to put everything back neat and tidy. All right, what's my point? Why did I do this? The first thing I want to do is I want to put every single chart back on a daily basis. This obviously is up on a monthly chart. I'm going to change all of these charts by hitting on my keyboard D for daily. Real simple, easy to do. So everything's in sync. Everything could be looked at perfectly. And here we go. Another neat thing about TradeNavigator is that I can go up here to this top tab where it says JP on the tool. On the toolbar, I have JP daily pivots, weekly pivots, monthly pivots, quarterly pivots, and option expiration. If you do not have that, the question would beg, well, how do I put it there? Very simple. You go up to View, and then you scroll down to Customize Toolbar. And then you will get this little window that pops up, and we're going to scroll down. And then when we scroll down, you're going to find out that, number one, you're going to have, as you can see here, it's checked off. JP Daily, Weekly, Monthly, Quarterly, Expiration. You click on that, and guess what? It'll show up on your toolbar. All right? Then, what we're doing is real simple. I now can take a gander, a look at, for example, any one of these stocks and say, heck, HZO, MarineMax. It's not really, one would think, MarineMax. What do they do? Well, if you own a boat and you've ever heard of Sea Ray, it's the parent company of Sea Ray and Wellcraft, Bayliner, I think they even own. And if you are a boat owner, you don't want to own a Bayliner, but it is Bayliner. But anyway, as you can see, it is a stock that HZO, it's a small cap stock, and it generated a daily buy signal at monthly pivots. And BTU, Peabody, generated a high closed doji. Today was a daily buy signal. Anyway, I'm going to now do something that's really amazing. All right? I'm going to save this chart page. So JT multiple time. I'm saving it. And now I'm going to do something, and I'm going to load. Excuse me, I'm going to publish. I publish, you load. I'm going to publish this And if you have Genesis right now and you have the lifetime, all you have to go do is download right now by loading shared chart page. So let me load this just to share with you what happens. A window pops up. So when you hit load, a window pops up. And so it tells you the last update was today at 4:40 p.m. Click on this green arrow, and you'll see all my proprietary pages that I've created. Index AB, AD, and OBV, seasonal and OBV, seasonal planning, RS analysis spread, newsletter, trading room, multi-time, crude, grains, meat, softs, Forex. Every single one of these pages that I've created, all you now have to do, and so the last one that we did was the multiple time frame, as you can see, Oct 16th at 4:40. Just import it, and then all of a sudden, well, it's going to import the same thing because I just loaded it myself from the server. So the moral of the story is any chart or anything that I create, and if I put any annotation, a drawing, for example, an arrow, a profit target, a last conditional change, by the way, a trilogy setup, right? A trilogy setup that we look for, major buying, a little bit more prominent, looking at the seasonal aspect. If you take a look at this, and I go over here to pages, and then I go to, and I publish it one more time, and I hit publish, bingo, you can download, and you will have that trend line, you will have that arrow up on that chart. So that is something that's really, I think, pretty cool, that I have been able to create these pages and have what's called sync up and then load down type of market analysis. So depending on the chart, what I'm looking at, and what we may have talked about in the trading room, or what I've talked about in or something that I'm looking at, it's something that we can follow with together. So that's the function of the loading and the publishing. That is something that I'm not sure how many people are capable to do it, but it is awesome. All right. So what else do we have here? Interesting aspect. This binary page is something that's pretty interesting in the concept of looking at and I just being selfish right now, I just wanted to type up this binary page that I had Genesis create. First off was to find out what the relevance is or the accuracy of persons' pivots. I mean, basically, do they work? I mean, if there's a day that blue is below gold, how accurate is it to defining, does the market move in the direction of what the person's pivots indicate? So blue-gold relationship is the pivot versus a pivot point moving average. And as you can see, this goes back, it's been a 3-year back test, and its bull binary is showing it's 82, and a bear binary is 73. So over the last 3 years, it very simply states, it doesn't say that you're going to make money. It just says that if blue is above gold, did the market perform in a bullish way? If blue is below gold, did it work all the time? Well, the answer is no, it doesn't work all the time, but it's 82% accurate that the bullish binary says that if it's a bullish day, the market acts bullish, and 73% or 73.75% is a bear binary, is 73% accurate over the last 3 years on a daily basis. The reason the bullish is probably more accurate than the bearish, because in the last 3 years, it's been a bull stock market. Not hard to figure out. As far as a weekly binary is concerned, it's 86.75% accurate. Bear binary, only 66% accurate. So I guess for a bearish binary, you could say at the end of this week, for example, it said the very next calculation was blue below gold, blue below gold, blue below gold. So I guess in the last 3 weeks, the person's pivots has been defining a bearish trend change in the market. This page has been available and is available for you guys on the Genesis package. Of course, Forex is available. I have a crude oil page. We have a seasonal and on-balance volume, trading rooms, softs. The softs have everything under the sun of what's soft. And what is soft is hopefully not your P&L, but what is soft, of course, is crude cocoa, sugar, coffee, for example. And then, of course, this is probably one of my most heavily used pages on Genesis next to my advanced decline analysis page. on the top stock indices. What this is something that we did, and I think we published this on September 23. The last time I published this was the day we created, and I did this for all of you guys, you users of Genesis. We talked about this in the trading room, and we talked about how the Russell was starting to make the spread relationship between Russell and the Dow. This is the spread between Russell, Dow, and that we were starting to see that the pace of change, the rate of change, was as the market was making newer lows in the spread, it was not making significant lower lows. And we were looking for a turn in the market. That's what this low level is, and that arrow is all about. And of course, that's what's given us a sign that we were looking for as the spread relationship is shared with us, that the Russell was going to start to outperform the market. I did not go into teaching and saying, hey, it doesn't mean that you buy the Russell outright. It means that if the market continues to go down, the Russell will go down less than, not as much than, the overall market. And as you can see, we got that one right. We also went on to create the page and compare the Russell versus the S&P 500. And again, that spread has come into fruition. We also, as we talked about this morning, we have two charts up on this page that have to deal with relative strength. One is, and if I'm not mistaken, hopefully I didn't, this should have been, and I always mess it up because I play with things. This is, and we'll just take a look at, I'm going to pick on BTU because we're in it, we've been in it, and I tweeted that out to even get in it. We may have been a little bit early, but we did the political play, as I called it, for the January 2016, that's 2016 calls, and they damn near more than doubled a little bit, or at least came close to that double. But as you can see here from a seasonal perspective, and looking at the RS and stuff that we talk about, you know, we have a high closed doji, we have a buy signal, we have the relative strength, the spread chart, which compares that particular instrument against the S&P 500. And if you are going to go long a product from a relative strength perspective against the index, you want to see if it's outperforming. And so when the spread moves up, it outperforms. And this is another feature that is on our the Genesis for you guys that have the Genesis package. Next. This is what's called the RS analysis and spread charts. We also have the knob spread. You know, I've been doing knob spreads for God knows how many decades. We've got the crack spread. We also have some very neat pages, these 3 pages over here, were my relative strength, where we compare the sectors. As you can see, these are all color-coded, where you have anywhere from consumer staples, all the way down to housing, which is ITB, all the way to stocks. You can go over here and look at the regional banks. But more importantly, we also compare one of our analysis, by the way, folks, as I was saying, gee whiz, we've got on a year-to-date basis, you got Germany as measured by the EWG in brown, at one point was down 10%, and the S&Ps were rallying. I don't know if you see this. And one of the things that I had mentioned, and that was right there on 9/19. Now, some people are saying it was the Alibaba IPO, which to me I think is just a crock of you know what. The market, whether or not it was Alibaba, it doesn't matter to me what the reason is. But we were talking about the overall markets globally, and we are an interconnected marketplace with the global economy. And that's just the fact, Jack. And you can't see if the global economy is expanding and the S&Ps are going to go up. Well, guess what? You can't say that, oh, the global economies are expanding and the S&Ps are going up, and then say a month or 3 months later, hey, the global economy is turning into hell in a handbasket, but we're okay. It ain't going to work that way. Anyway, this is our relative strength analysis that compares the various different segments of the world against the U.S. And so we could see, are we in tandem? Are we falling out of favor? More importantly, how much is that spread relationship? How far apart have we moved? You can slide this over and take that and say this goes back from the beginning of the year. You can slide it over and take a relative comparison from any different time frame you want and see what the net changes are. At this point in time, and just to give you, this would be a little indirect lesson, I'd be looking to see if we start to see a marked improvement in not just the German EWG, but I'd also want to see if we see a marked improvement in the emerging markets, and that would be in the purple. And as you can see right now, everything's kind of grouping together at about 11 cents on or about the 19th of August. I'll change that in just a minute, but we're all grouping near this particular area here. In the last quarter, so remember, October starts a new quarter. So in the last quarter, things really got soft. And remember, it's July, August, September. So since the beginning of July, what's happened since the 4th of July weekend? And you can just scale this over and find out. And that's how you use this tool, guys. Just scale it out. So June 30th, good enough. And you can clearly see that something happened here. And we started to see that disconnect, clearly right after the beginning of the second quarter. It was the beginning of the second quarter in July that things started to really start to melt down. Is that going to continue going into year's end? Well, here's what I do, and I would say how to utilize this. It's interesting that you note maroon is Italy, orange is France, and brown is Germany. And they're all pretty much grouping together here. And then the rest of the segments up here, you'll note, are emerging markets. You'll note that it's Malaysia. You'll also note that it's the S&P. You'll also note that it's Latin America, which is the ILF. And I mean, I can't imagine Latin America doing better than Germany. So I would say that we are a little over sold here, and we probably will be watching for this turn in the next week or so. It'd be my guess. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. And so for you lifetime users, that's pretty healthy information. Next, on this one page, I mean, this is just one page, the information. This is my spread relationship with a moving average, comparing the difference between S&Ps and the NASDAQ. And this is the relationship between the NASDAQ and the S&Ps. And then down below, we've got my little McClellan oscillator indicator, which is signifying a potential, as we shared with you guys this morning, that we have a little bit of bullish convergence on a daily basis, yet the weekly, which the week's not over, it's kind of ironic. I don't know how to view this. Is this a weekly bullish convergence, or is there still more to come to the downside? And remember, the McClellan oscillator measures based on two moving average components. It measures based off the advanced decline analysis on the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index. So the jury's not out. We've got to wait until Friday's close. But needless to say, we have this page, and you should be able to just go up to load and grab that page, because everything you possibly want to form an opinion on the market, stuff that we do, is right there. Now, briefly, we come over here and we go to, let's go to seasonal and on-balance volume. And so many of you guys, if you're in here, and we go over to symbol grid. Okay, now, I have created for very good reason, and so there it's here. And so many of you who took either Trading Triggers University, or more importantly, you guys took the summer mentoring class, why would I look at all of these filters and criteria just to go through what they're about? If you are interested in finding about the Dow, transportation, Dow utility stocks, if you want to look for and search and scan for any stock in any sector, it is capable of doing that by using TradeNavigator. If you want to go, what I like to do is in all the stocks, how many stocks are within 1% of their 52-week high? That number was, at least in the S&P 500, it was closer to like 480 or something like that about a month and a half ago. We're now down to 71. We'll refresh to find out, but we're still missing a bunch of stocks near their 52-week lows, by the way. How many stocks are above their 10-day moving average? In the S&P 500, 63 symbols are above their 10-day moving average. You guys remember when I ran this scan and it was like 410, 411, and I would post that in the room? Well, and these are the things that is kind of interesting, because now it's kind of switched with what's the leadership, but this is a good way of analyzing the market on a advanced decline basis. Right now, just to give you, how many stocks are above, the more stocks above their 10-day is bullish. The more stocks below the, is overly bullish. Let me put it to you that way. The more stocks below the 50-day moving average is maybe a little bit pushing the bearish level. The funny thing is, in the S&P 500, 429 stocks are actually below their 50-day moving average. To me, it's getting a little bit of, it's kind of sharing a little bit of oversold territory. And that's, I think, what the McClellan oscillator. All of these scans are there to be used for wherever you want. One of our students says, John, you're talking about a sector rotational correction, and it possibly could go into the Russell. And we'd like your high close doji scan. So if I click on the high close doji scan, and I go over here to Trader's Toolbox, as you can see the wrench and the hammer. If I click on that, all right, and I want to go over to filter, and so let's go down to, let's see, criteria, excuse me. If I go to criteria and I go to JP High Close Doji Stocks right there, and I hit edit, I got S&P 400, which represents what? Mid cap. Well, why don't we go and just today, or as we have, I'm going to change that to Russell 2000. See how I've done that? And now I'm going to hit save. And I would like to recalculate that criteria now. And I'm going to hit yes. Meanwhile, this little box will come up. Now, oops, we have, and again, Genesis refreshes their data every night, 6:30 Eastern time. All right? So tonight, Eastern time, when Genesis refreshes their data, I will rerun this criteria. In all of the names in the Russell 2000, the first thing that comes up is Arch Coal, which generated we change this to Arch Coal. It's a daily, this should be weekly, and this, if I didn't fool around with things, should be monthly. So Arch Coal, you know, many of you are probably aware that I send out some tweets. Or maybe you're not. And if you're not, you'd be, I'm just going to share it with you where to go and what I do. And so if you go over here to tweets, I don't do it for, apparently we've picked up a few followers, because we have approximately 36,000 followers. Whether they're real or not, who knows, but I got a lot of followers, that's for sure. And one of the things that we have done, and probably why, is I don't throw after the fact information. I've thrown out like before the fact information. And if you scroll on down, you'll probably see some funny stuff that I've thrown out there. And every once in a while, here on September, TIP versus it shows the Russell is outperforming, blah blah blah, and that was on September 25th. BTU, getting smoked again. I'm lightly buying March 14 calls for a seasonal play. We went in the room and said, hey, guys, we want to look at, from a political thing, we said even look at buying what? The January 2016, the 2016. We found out that I wasn't the only one with this idea. Somebody was buying a bunch of BTU 2016, January of 2016. Now, I didn't say 15, January, so think about it. October, November, December, January is only 90 days away. I'm talking about a year and 90 days from now. People have been buying those January calls as a directional play. That was pretty incredible stuff. So that's just one of the things that we've put out. I mean, we were in St. Martin's on vacation, and I just thought that was kind of cute. And little nice photo there about a little rainbow in the middle of the harbor. This was the captain of the Allure on the bridge. You see the parakeet on his shoulder? This guy's really an amazing captain if you ever go on. But anyway, you can read this kind of stuff out here. We put out some tweets that I think are pretty decent. Today, for example, we talked about, hey, Instead of buying IWM, go for buy HZO. Well, if you read between the lines and you said, hey, what's HZO? It's Marine Max. So we sent that tweet out today, and you can look at the timestamps. It's kind of cool stuff. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, looking at TradeNavigator, we can create, and using what I like to do is put out and you can mix and match yourself depending on what my default is. So if it's a monthly chart, I use quarterly pivots. On a weekly chart, I would use monthly pivots. And on a daily chart, you can either use daily charts, or you could look at daily pivots, or you can look at weekly pivots, right? That makes sense from a timing element. The other day, we generated, Arch Coal generated a daily buy signal. It had a high closed doji, and it's, that's why it shows up on the screen here. So that's kind of cool. Find me stocks in the Russell that are the Russell's been beaten to Dickens. Find me stocks that have generated some high closed dojis. And that is how you can do that scan by running the Trader's Toolbox. Once again, click on high closed doji stocks, click on edit, and if you want Russell 2000, let's say, for example, you want to say, what about Russell 3000? Well, let's find out. You click on that and sure, recalibrate it, and it's going to set the criteria. Now today, the Russell did a little bit, again, it outperformed the market once again, big time, and this is the Russell 3000. So it'll probably have close to the same amount of names in there, but 139 stocks. This is yesterday's scan because today it needs to update at 6 p.m. like I said. So if you don't want to run a high closed doji scan, you want to do PPS buy and sell signals, you can. You can run last conditional change. You can run all types of scans you want. You can also just go with what I set up as a default. This is long stocks daily in the S&P 500. So how many stocks generated a daily buy signal? And this is really cool when things start to pop back to the upside. How many stocks generated a daily buy signal? Not a high closed doji, just a daily buy signal. Well, if you're not sure what some of these names are and what sectors they're in, okay, all I have to do is say, okay, I don't know, who's APD? And it's Air Products and Chemicals. Now, look up here at my toolbox or my toolbar. If you notice on the toolbar, it says it's capital goods, the trading company, and it's got ADP. Okay, well, click on the toolbar, click on that, and guess what? It lists every single stock in that space that's a competitor in trading company's diversified capital goods segment of the market. So now I can just say, okay, well, maybe APD generated a daily buy, but maybe some of the other names in this space or its competitors, maybe I could look for something better than that, or go in and take a gander to see, are there other stocks in that sector that are trading and have better component makeups. And well, this is Nutrisystems. I don't think it has a whole lot to do. I guess if you ever eat their food, it's kind of a chemical. In any event, you can really just go down, and what I've done is listed this in the different sectors. So how many of the stocks that generated in my list in the S&P 500 were in energy? And we had two names that day, which was RRC and Southwestern Energy. And I can immediately say, well, what does the volume look like? What's the seasonality look like? It's kind of a little poor, and I don't want to look at that. And I can go on down the list, and I can change all of those outlooks. How many stocks generated sell signals? Well, I had, as you can see, 26 names generated daily sell signals, and I can now go down and say, all right, forget that. How many are short stocks weekly? Well, last Friday, because it's a week to week, remember, last Friday, 89 stocks generated a weekly sell signal. Out of 89, we can immediately go down and look at the bottom. As you can see what I'm sharing with you, you can immediately go down and say 14, as you can see right here, it says 14 stocks out of my scan generated a sell signal, and those 14 names were in the consumer discretionary sector. So now I can kind of say, wow, if from a contrarian or top-down approach, out of 89 stocks, what was the bulk of markets that generated sell signals? And, well, let's see, financials, surprisingly, 24 of those names, and we've been in a weekly sell, this is BK, been in weekly sell signals, and there's the PPS sell signal. So it'll also help give a gauge of, you know, healthcare, which is 8 stocks, industrials, we had 18 names. So you can see that some sectors were getting more heavily sold or generating more weekly sell signals than others. So now I can kind of take a gauge and say the way I've set this up is to make a better investment idea by having the setup that I have with a daily, weekly, monthly, OBV versus volume, and looking at my various indicators here, all pre-programmed, so I can take one look and say, is this a stock that, like, for example, I think might be ready for more downside? It's already had a move lower. It's got some weakness, but boy, it's entering a time period where we kind of see or sense that a bottom's formed, so maybe that's not a great short for me, a short candidate. And so this is how you utilize this scan. The scans are just about whatever you want the indicator to tell you. I think they're there. If you trust the high closed doji, well, high closed doji on all the we obviously didn't get a lot of high closed dojis there. So what about low closed dojis? Do we have that? Of course we do. Well, we're not getting a lot of low closed doji because the market's on a weekly basis, it's already been down. So we'll probably be, if we're looking for a market, we're probably going to be looking for what? High closed dojis, or we'll probably be looking for maybe buy signals and looking for weekly buy signals pretty soon would make sense. I just think that the analysis that we've provided allows us to maybe run better scans and run scans in specific sectors, whether it be biotech, composite, NASDAQ financial. We can really do anything we want. So if you're not sure, even by just clicking on NASDAQ 100, you can actually even see in alphabet order what are the stocks that are listed in the NASDAQ. As I just learned the other day, we've got an update coming because we now have 103 stocks in the NASDAQ 100, incidentally, not 100, or they have to delist one, something of that. But when we take a look at the NASDAQ 100, I just clicked on end tap because I just wanted to see it for a second. We immediately can see what it is, what sector, and what component, and where its competitors are. And I think that, like in this space, Qualcomm, you can take a look at, excuse me, not Qualcomm, SanDisk, Seagate Technology, for examples in that space. And so I can take an immediate look to see, is one stock generating a buy, or is that sector starting to recover? And as you can see clearly, there's no buy signal here. It's in a weekly sell, and all we can say is that this market has just come down to monthly support. So we do have a great feature about using the seasonality, and why is TradeNavigator? They are really the best at doing this because, number one, they were the first guys that had really gotten into this field. And so that's why I rely on their seasonal analysis. This is a true story, actually. We had one of a visitor that came in, someone that was in our seminar that we just did. It's down here in Singer Island, Florida, and said, hey, check out Netflix. It's in a seasonally strong period of time. What happened to it? And I had to say, no, actually, Netflix is in a seasonally weak period of time, according to our indicator. I mean, if you take a look at the seasonal trend, and I mean, if the seasonal trend is pointing down, that ain't a seasonally strong period of time. So I'm not sure, and what we suggested was, you know, that's what's really important. If you've got bad information and you've got data that's not correct, then you're going to make a poor judgment in your trades, and that's going to cost you a boatload of money. That's why I rely on Genesis to have accurate information. When we go through, in my other favorite page here, and I just look at when I do run a scan, by the way, guys, you go over here to the symbol grid, and that's where you'll find the scans and what these various scans are for. And they're all there available for the lifetime users. Now, the reason I like when I run a scan, the reason I like the 3 time frames with the various pivots is to say, and these volume and also with my seasonal trend is to say, gee, if the stock is really good, right, then we ought to see good volume in a seasonally strong period of time. And if I'm going to figure out where a product or a market might go, I got to ask myself, well, where has it been? And even as of 2 weeks ago, the market's been near its all-time high. There was, by the way, I mean, hindsight analysis. I was not short Netflix. We had other things going on. But in hindsight, on-balance volume's bad, seasonal's bad, the market's in a weekly sell mode, and who in their right mind would want to be a buyer of this thing? Not in that environment when the rest of the market's going down. This was just a delayed reaction to catch up, I think, with the overall market, but neither here nor there. So, again, this is not a session for market analysis. This is a session to tell you and show you a quick tutorial of what does the John Person indicators and the TradeNavigator package have to offer. How can you get the best and the most out of it? And I think between the scans, the reliability of the indicators, the reliability of the data is what really makes it crucial for me to rely on. I can't stress that enough. When I go through and look every single Monday and I look at the health and the breadth of the market, the indicators that I had personally had Genesis put in their package was the idea to not just use advanced decline analysis as most people look on the NYSE. That's why on this page that I created, it's the JPADOBV. You'll note that at the very top we have spiders, we have Qs, Russell, New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, and then YM. So I do cheat and change from the futures to the cash market. If I'm going to change this back, I just hit the S on my keyboard. S stands for symbol. And then I'm just going to change this to diamonds, and I'll put it back into the cash market mode, okay? The very top, if you read this and you look at this, the very top section is all daily charts. This should read daily, 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 daily. The bottom section is the same market, but in a weekly time frame. So I've lined it up, teed it up, so that we can take a look at the shorter term time frame and the longer term time frame. Now, the interesting aspect, there's only one market. If you take a look, and maybe we'll do a little cheat here and give you a little bit of market analysis. Number one, we've seen a complete breakdown in the AD lines of, as you can see here, the September lows. Looking at the NYSE, it looks kind of ugly. We've broken down and taken out the August lows, and I'll squeeze enough data in here. We'll take a look at this all together. Funny thing is, the Dow is nowhere near its August lows. Let's go over here and look at the Russell. Well, we know we took out the lows in the Russell. Let's take a look at the Qs. We have not taken out the lows in the Russell of August. And in the S&Ps, interesting, we have not taken out the lows in August. Only one market, the NYSE, did we take out the low of August, along with the other, two markets, was the Russell. Now, the funny thing is, if you remember in our teachings, it's hard to see if the advanced decline is making higher highs, but we popped above my special little moving average, which is what has been created on this page for you guys. We popped our head above that moving average with the advanced decline on the Russell. We also popped our head. Look at the direction of the volume. And you don't have any of that similar reading for the other markets. Down, 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 down. Only the Russell. Another interesting point, today on the close, only the Russell generated a PPS daily buy signal. So if you don't think that there's a shift in sentiment and money going into the Russell, I don't know what other indicators can help share that with you. But on a short-term time frame, specifically since we landed our butts right there on the JP predicted monthly support, you may wonder why is John talking about rolling into and targeting more small cap Russell type stocks and looking at maybe IWM January calls, and someone else was doing that same trade. You go look on the tweets, you'll see that. On a weekly basis, is the selling over on the large cap indexes? I kind of hope not. I don't want to see a V bottom. I want to see this thing linger. And because we do not have a confluence of buy signals in all the top indexes, I don't think the selling or the pain is quite over. But I think it's time to look at certain stocks, and you can look at, and I think, small cap stocks from the long side here. From a weekly perspective, tomorrow being option expiration, tomorrow being also the end of the week, more importantly. The funny thing is we have a better, stronger makeup. Look at this. From a October-November time frame, we see seasonalities coming into the Russell that shows time period of strength. And looking at the NYSE, we have seasonal still weakness. So with that said, I'm not too crazy. It's about knowing what sector to be in, and that's where this analysis and why these charts are here to help you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to Pages, and I'm just going to publish this. So you guys if you do have it, you've got these points of interest in these annotations to look at with the lows of August. We have convergence, bullish convergent potential. I just don't think the lows are in, which means we could come back down, test the low, maybe chop around, not go up. That doesn't mean we're going to crash to zero. I just don't think the market's ready to explode back to the upside quite yet. We need some type of testifiable evidence. And that's more of market teachings, and that's not what today is all about. All right? So today is not about answering questions about my opinion of the market. Today I won't do that because it's not fair to those that have come to ask about TradeNavigator and the features that we have. And that's what we're specializing on today. All right? I've given plenty of webinars, guys, that you've been around, and hopefully you've benefited from those in the past. Right now, it's how do you use this to your best advantage? And I think that looking at a lot of the markets that we have to trade, whether it's trading, even looking at our trading room, and if you're a day trader, real simple. We've put together what I feel are the major important elements of a market, as well as the important time frames. The element being, are we looking at just the S&Ps? Are we looking at just the NASDAQ? Are we looking at just the Dow or the Russell? And the answer is, of course not. We usually use, as you see here, at times in high velocity or in periods like we have, like now, where you're seeing potentially 1 minute bars generating anywhere from 5 to 9 tick S&P ranges in a minute. It's important that we utilize the right time frames. Typically, I look at 5, 15, and then this should be, obviously I was fooling around with it, 60 minutes. So the neat thing is we like to keep our eye on the prize at what the person's daily pivots are showing us. And even for tomorrow, by the way, just thought I'd share with you, the AD line suggests that the market selling might not be over. And the person's pivots, look at this. Blue is still below gold for tomorrow, but it has a lower high and it has a higher low component to you. If you see where it's already established at, to me, what that suggests is maybe we come back and we linger in here and see if the market just maybe bases out a little bit more. And one of the features that when you use the day trading page, it has the person's pivots in them, so you could say, hey, gee whiz, if maybe unless this market gets above that pivot until we get a daily reversal in the market, we might see continued selling. The selling of the rallies might not be over. So I want you guys to be aware that on the day trading page, and that's what it is, trading room, that's what that means, the trading room, I keep up obviously crude oil, I look at the bonds, and of course gold. So those are the things that we have available, all the pages, grains, again, the meats. And what's really neat, I'm going to just change this over to meats because we have entered a seasonal time period where we start to see some weakness in the beef complex. And as this loads up, we have already created some really neat stuff for folks that are, and we have some people that have bought this that are in the meat industry and specific meat traders, and of course looking at live cattle, feeder cattle, and hogs. And you'll note that we have various different products. Obviously, I was fooling around with natural gas. That's a natural gas spread. But in the meantime, we have hog spreads here, cattle hog spreads created, cattle, feeder cattle, and feeder cattle, live cattle spreads that we all have already done and overlaid into our pages. So it's not just looking at the meats per se, what is the individual beef doing, but it's also laid out that is there spread opportunities already created and the spread charts already created, and the answer is of course there are, which makes sense. As a trader, I would like everything in front of me, and that's why I've created these pages like this. So in the grains, for example, you've got soybeans, soy meal, we have bean oil. So you got beans, bean meal, and bean oil. Most people won't trade bean oil, but if you take these three products and wanted to look at the crack spread, the crush spread is comparing the byproducts to the underlying market, which is soybeans. We also look at wheat. We have corn. We have different months for wheat, front month, back month, and again we've got the corn spread, front month, back month, and then we've got the famous corn wheat spread. And these are trade opportunities that I think there's certain times of the year you start looking at these trades, and of course the package and the indicators are all designed to share that with you. So I wanted to say for those, hopefully this tutorial of what does it involve, how do you get these pages loaded, where are they located, more importantly, how do you use and utilize the scans, and how do you utilize the specific pages? Where question was, where can I find that McClellan oscillator? It's under RS analysis and spreads. The AD and OBV, it's very simply put. And then more importantly, how do I get what John's published and loaded? And it's real simple. You don't publish, I do, but you load what I've created and we update those. All right, so that is the gist of that. Now, if you do not have the lifetime package of Genesis and you are interested in it, then specifically what you may do, if you'd like to look at this, we will offer you a lifetime membership to TradeNavigator. It's just $3,200. We let you come in for training to see how we use it in the trading room. You have access to it. We've offered this before. We did this in May. You can put it up for a free seminar in the future. We will also let you have access to our 6-week, which we did over the summer, the 6-week advanced trading course. The link is personsplanet.com/navigator.html. If you want more information about it, you can contact myself or even Sonia. Go visit our website. Say, John, I'm interested. Tell me more about this. What can I get? How does it work? How do I get it? What do I pay from Genesis, etc., etc.? You can call our office, 561-655-1881. Many of you obviously know how to get a hold of us. You see an email, and you can, without a doubt, you are on our email list. So with this type of information, I think you're well on your way to having an incredible package and journey of our analytical tools and training. And so with that said, I want everyone to have a great evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and may the majority of your trades be profitable, because as we all know, not every single trade is profitable. We don't look to sell the high and buy the exact low. Every once in a while we get lucky, but just remember, a little chunk in the middle and have more winners than losers, and that's really what it's all about. But anyway, thanks guys. John Zaz, thank you very much, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed what we've been doing. In the markets, options and strategies, and more directional trading over the last few weeks. So I know it's just been awesome, and I know a lot of you guys have done very well with us, and I want to say thank you all very much. And it's great to have a lot of really nice people around me, as we saw at the seminar this past week. And you know, I got a lot of really neat people in my life. So thank you all very much. And if you are interested in what I feel to be, and I you know, use it every day, again, it's an analytical platform. It allows me to do all kinds of things that really no other platform does. And every platform has their plus and minuses, every single platform. Genesis isn't, you know, it's not perfect, but it has a lot of great, reliable information. If I'd have to say what could do better, if it allowed me to do real-time scanning versus waiting to end-of-day criteria, that would be my biggest improvement in the product. Other than that, to find out the commitment of traders data, I mean, let's review. Go to Edit Chart. I should have done this already. I apologize. It was on my list of things to cover for commitment of traders. Add an indicator to a new pane, and it's studies, excuse me, and I want to look at COT net positions. So I hit add, and the first thing I do is commercials are red, large specs I typically like to make blue, small specs I like to make green. Why? Because I take the other side of them typically. And small speculators I like to make as a histogram. And then I'll hit OK. And that's generally how I do a commitment of traders report. And first thing is, that's not crude oil. That's Colgate palm olive. Let's take a look at E-mini S&Ps. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to go to, boy, do I feel bad. We go to a weekly chart. And, you know, the interesting aspect is when we look at the commitment of traders report on the E-mini S&Ps, folks, there's a net, pretty much looking at the small speculators. They were very long the market near the top, and then they kind of got out, which is amazing. It shows that the small speculators are getting a lot better in their game. What I'm looking for in the next Friday is to see if they go from a long position to a short position, if they go short down in here. As you can see, the commercials, which is red, are almost net neutral, and so are the hedge funds. The hedge funds probably got caught with their pants down. They were net long. As you can see, that's what that blue line is. The hedge funds were the ones holding the bag on this trade, and we'll see if they go from long to short, and we'll get that information out tomorrow. That's pretty cool information for me, considering when I combine my other information and analysis, that might be pretty strong telling information. So in any event, that's how we get the commitment of traders data, what it's there, and how you can put it up on your charts as well. That does conclude today's TradeNavigator session, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it cleared up a lot of questions for those that were trying to find out how to load the page. So I'm going to go publish this right now. So it's under multi-page, so I'm going to hit publish. And if I'm right, I'm going to hit this area. I'm going to put that line on the chart. I'm going to hit save chart page, and now let me publish it one more time. Publish the chart page, publish, and I'll do this one more time with you. I'm going to go up to page. I'm going to load it on my own computer again. When I do that, we get a little window that pops up, and I click on this green arrow, And again, what am I looking for? I'm looking for my multiple time. And it says OX16 at 529. I import it. It loads it. And if I've done everything right, it should be the exact same chart. And it is. There's the annotation or the arrow that popped up. Okay. Then that definitely helps. One other feature that we didn't get into, and I know I said goodbye a bunch of times, is this little alert box, which is really, really kind of cool. We keep this in the trading room. Many people don't really realize what it is, but I will share with you what it is very quickly. It's an alert box that if everyone sees that, the fact that we get PPS buy and sell signals, green is a buy signal, red's a sell signal. That's not hard to figure out. It's all color coordinated. What we look at is HCD. You might get a long buy signal on a 15-minute buy signal for an intraday, and you'll see we got a high close doji on a 5-minute. So, you know, these will generate and populate and generate low close dojis, gold, and they all come out and tell us at that point in time what triggered, what there was a signal, 30-minute, 15-minute, 5-minute. So whatever you're looking at, whatever market you're watching, these are my indicators that popped up. They're also not just an indicator, but it also been programmed to share with you, hey, by the way, a low close doji on crude oil on a 30-minute just popped up. Be careful. eBay, we just had a high close doji. You may want to watch that, but you know, at 1554, you may not want to take that trade. But any event, this is an indicator alert that populates based on the triggers, whether it's a PPS buy and sell or a high close, low close doji, and it's programmed to be on the various time frames. If you go over to quote board, the quote board should populate there. Oops. I believe I just double clicked it. Let me try it again. The quote board populates. There we go. So in that quote board, you look under filter, look under futures or whatever you want. You'll notice that I've got the ES in 5, 15, 30, and 60 minutes, and you'll note that it's been programmed for long PPS buy sells signals as well as high close, low close for intraday futures. You have it. Some of my popular stocks that I like to maybe look at day trading. These are the ones, and obviously you can change for an intraday and then, of course, scan. Now, this is all real time in here. So the high close, low close is all real time for stocks as well as the futures. So that's another thing that, in case you did not know, you have to initiate and click on that function. It's just a matter of clicking on the function, but that has all been pre-programmed in the alerts section, and that box will populate for all people that have the TradeNavigator package. So with that said, now we're done. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone to see you again. For those that visited our session in Florida, it was great to see a lot of people's faces, and I know I had both Daves show up, and we had my friend from Monterrey, Mexico show up. And I mean, if you can come from Monterrey, Mexico, fly all the way here, and then fly all the way back home. Sonia and Ed L. and Don Raymond, and it was just really nice to see a lot of good people here in South Florida. With that said, everyone, be good. Thank you all very much. That does conclude tonight's session. Thank you.